Good afternoon. It's Joyful Christian Hermit. Well, I shouldn't so much wonder why I don't get more done. I think so much about God in different situations with people, and it takes time. And I write and write correspondence to the one friend who struggles with a big cross, but does very well. But um, I'm her friend, and she's mine, and she's inherited paranoid schizophrenia and is on heavy medications and has had quite a time of it in the past with shock treatments and things that took chunks of her memory. And she's very intelligent, has a wonderful husband, and so it's but it her life is altered, very altered, and more routine, very routinized kind of existence. And but it's become very beautiful. She does devotions and watches EWTN and listens to Catholic radio and reads, keeps a balance though. Also, she's reading, I think, rereading A Wrinkle in Time now. Just a more of a youth's book, science fiction of sorts, but lovely. A book that adults can enjoy too, again and again. So, um, does her household tasks and cooks, and she and her husband usually will drive her to the grocery just about every day or some errands to get out, and um, has a very good uh, system, very good uh, rule of life, in fact. So, but it takes time, and then I've been concerned about my friend whose cancer is far worse than what was originally thought, even. And and I decided she hasn't responded at all to any texts, and I wrote of this to her son a couple of days ago, and he wrote back. I said, maybe I shouldn't try texting. Maybe she prefers not having the contact or doesn't want to for whatever reason. I can understand many reasons why. That's one gift of the Holy Spirit that seems that God has given me and I've needed, and that's understanding. It helps me understand people very much so, and have lots of compassion. But it's a matter of understanding different possibilities. I'm not assuming that this or that is the reason, but I understand many possibilities that could be, so that I don't take personal offense. Um, but I had mentioned, maybe I shouldn't even, text at all. And he says, well, maybe just write her a letter sometime if you want, that she really doesn't want to. So I got that idea, and I had to beat away these thoughts that, hearing from me may upset her in some way or shape or form. Because it was always thought, that I would be the one dying first, and I still could. We never know the day nor the hour. But she knows that I'm quite willing. I've had my experience, and I've suffered for over 40 years. It makes a difference. Her life has been very blessed temporally, not financially, not her first husband died being electrocuted. They had two daughters, and she remarried, and that man became a drinker and cheated on her. So that was done, over and out. And they had 6 children, so she has 8 total that she reared, homeschooled, worked menial jobs, and still was, but loved doing that. Very humble, and in that regard of all those kids went to college and are doing well in their adult lives, all of them doing very well. And she was busy cleaning for elderly people. She's 4 years younger than me. Her birthday is today. Well, finally today I thought I'm going to call and just say happy birthday. I didn't have a birthday card here that would be appropriate. Um, and I was getting the idea of when her son said he referred as being sad, and I didn't know if it was she is sad or it's sad seeing her weak. But I knew then that he'd told me, to my surprise, that she's living at home by herself, out of the hospital, and she's very conscious, very alert, and capable of talking and all. And so then I realized, well, something she didn't really want to communicate with me, or she would have even just sent some emojis back onto my text or something. But so there's something there. And then I recognized today when I heard her voice, I thought, I'm calling to at least tell her how much I love her on her birthday, and I'm praying for her. She knows I'm praying for her. But I could hear there's someone there. I could hear a voice, and she just picked up the phone and said, I'll call you back shortly. But the sound of her voice had sadness and anger in it, curt, and sadness in both those in it, atypical. So I realize I'm changing my whole approach to praying for her. And I understand, because before I've done it before. She's heard my death experience years ago, and knows my perspective. But it's hard for people in the temporal world who this is a sudden thing, sometimes, and all of her children love her and are she's needed or asked for to come help with this or that with the grandchildren and things, and these older people need her. It's a different story than mine. Of my kids are all very independent and doing well and want that independence. They don't want that. Well, the one has called me, for tips on. We talked over tiling her floor, how to do that, or at least to chip it up. And I'm trying to, give her tips that it's not hard at all to tile a floor, and I'll come help. At least get her started with it and stuff. And tips on, little details about paint or things like that. She, she knows that I know these things, and at least ask so she can sort of think through if she wants to try something like that. So, there's that, but it's nothing. They don't need me for anything really. She could YouTube that probably, but faster to hear it from me, I guess, in a way, or more direct with questions. She has particular questions, so just different. And I've had 40 years of pain and my death experience. So it's, and here it is, Advent, and I'm getting this new knowledge that I didn't know before. This theology of Advent, of also looking forward to Christ's second coming. But I'm realizing it's our becoming also. We're coming. It's our Advent too. When we're putting ourselves into His real presence, we become with Him. We're coming with God. And He wants us to be coming toward Him and coming to eternal life. This is the progression of earth. It's only a temporary thing. Earth is for us, our lives here. And we come from Christ's kingdom. We're sent and come from Christ. and are travelers here or as guests here for a time period. And but I recognized the voice had this sadness, and of course, probably tired. She didn't really sound tired. She sounded strong, but had this maybe anger or frustration. So I realized she's still adapting. And it's so true of Christians. My sister is a Bible Christian, not evangelical, a Bible church, fundamentalist Christian in Texas. And Bible studies, couple or three a week with her, one with her husband and one with women, and maybe another with her husband alone, but a couples group. And she knows that Bible, and her faith has grown strong. And she, will repeat, God is in charge, God is in charge. But she has suffered from depression, clinical depression, and anxiety for years. And so she was diagnosed with lymphoma maybe 4 or 5 years ago now, and really fell apart. And it's hard, and still is. And she gets these checkups, and she's been in remission a long time, but still, is very fearful of going out because her immune system's low. And I don't blame her for that. But I have noticed that, and my friend though, too, that it's true of people. And she has children who love her and are close by, one next door and one within a half mile. Lots of grandchildren, and her husband right there. So the more we're attached, even the harder it is then. And the more we feel needed and useful and active and all. Now, my sister is more, people will talk about, I can't wait to see Jesus. I want to be with Jesus. But then something happens and they get something that can be terminal or ultimately could be. A lymphoma can go on for a while. I mean, with her it is. She's doing well as far as that goes, except for her other ailment, the depression and the anxiety. She has to be on top of that all the time and takes medicine for it. And probably it's a brain chemistry thing they discovered maybe 20 years ago, 30 years ago now, or more, 34. But when it gets down to the reality that our life is going to end or be over, somehow, even we Christians, we don't have the joy and the eagerness then. There can be this anger, resentment, frustration, or shock. Shock, of course, is normal, but we can become very sad and angry and not want to leave, and it's something that we need to be thinking about, especially in Advent. We're coming with Jesus to his coming. And it's a hard thing to let go, especially if you've had a blessed life, even into your older years of, feeling needed. It can be really an illusion, though. It's all temporal. When we face it, us older people, our kids are doing fine without us. We've enjoyed it. We enjoy the phone calls or being asked our advice or so. Oh dear, I'm just gonna let it go. That's my they're just a reminder of my getting an injection in my occipital lobes on Friday, and I may cancel it. I don't know. I'm coping with the headache. Okay, we'll see. But I guess I'd better do it. There's a risk with it. But anyway, it just so, and it's just another appointment to go to. It's just, I'm fairly detached. But my main concern, the two times that I thought I was, death was coming for me, coming to me, I was excited, obviously, but I felt terrible that I hadn't fulfilled my mission. And so that's why I'm trying more, because it turned out I wasn't. And then I was sort of down. I had to get on top of myself. You can't be down when you find out you're not dying. That's the same as being down when you find out you are. That death is truly at your time. And often I remember my dad telling my mother, I didn't think it was going to be like this. And he was maybe 5 or 6 days from his death. And it suddenly hit him because he had been in a decline. And then one day he really couldn't get up again. So she had to have them take him to the home health portion of their retirement center. And he just said, I never thought it would be like this. Well, I guess we don't. We don't think. We might have some idea of how we'll die or when we'll die or in our sleep, but it's rarely what we think, unless, like my spiritual dad, he was so close to God, he knew the day he was going to die several years prior. He knew it was going to be St. Patrick's Day. He didn't know what year. Maybe he did, but he didn't say what year, but he knew what day and said, God's going to take me on St. Patrick's Day. And so we hear of some who foretell that, but I didn't even think the friend would call me back, but she didn't, but she said she would tonight. And I wrote back, if you want. But I realized that I needed to hear her voice because I know more what to pray for her. Because it's Advent. Our death is our major mystical experience. Puppy sees someone out there. Mercy, that's enough now. That's enough. That's enough. Guess she doesn't think it's enough. So it's our crucifixion and our resurrection. And Christ had his blood of tears crying. He was young. He had his apostles. He loved teaching and being around people, but he knew his mission. And he knew his time was nigh, that he was going to be leaving. But and he knew the suffering ahead, though, too. And so it will be a lot of suffering. Her son then texted and said he hoped that, if this is going to happen, he doesn't want her to suffer long. But you see, that's why I'm praying also, because God has to prepare us. And often the more that we can't accept, he'll get us ready through suffering. That's why I'm so ready. 40 years of headache. And it's worse now. So yes, I will probably go Friday and get the injection. It'll help a little for 6 weeks. But it's so risky. You can hit vessels and get bleed. Not bleed out, he'd do something. But anyway, I just want to mention, how my Advent even today is evolving with what I'm doing. I wasn't anticipating this, but I felt this nudge to call and at least say I love you, which I did. As she was, hanging up, I think she heard me. she can, but whether or not she was already clicking off and wasn't paying attention, I don't know. But and she did have someone there, home health nurse or something. Long meeting, and was tired, obviously very exhausted. So we have to consider our positions with people when they are in this situation of bowing out too. If the person is uncomfortable with a close friend or something, and doesn't want to talk much, or we have to honor that, which I will, of course. I was going to, but I decided I needed, for myself though, selfishly, to at least be able to one last time speak verbally, because we are in the temporal, that how I love her. And so she would know, and then wouldn't need to contact again. I can spiritually, mystically. The other person may not receive if they're not open in that way, but God can deliver it. The Holy Spirit can deliver our messages. Our angels can, to that person's angel, and break through to them if it's necessary or needful. Otherwise, on the other side, we'll realize, see. So it's not a huge thing, but if it was something that I felt uncomfortable, just not ever speaking again, anything at all, in my temporal voice, and to hear her voice. Because we can hear a lot in a voice. And I realize it's one thing for us when we're all healthy and vibrant and vital and useful to say, oh, I can't wait to see Jesus and to be on the other side. My sister would say that a lot. Oh, I long to be with Jesus, to see Jesus. But no, when the reality came of her lymphoma, and I've seen that with other Christians too. Out the window goes that. Get sad, get angry, resentful, resist. Then God has to, if it is our time, He'll prepare us, Nothing will prepare you to want to leave your body than a boatload of suffering. Makes it much easier to kiss all this goodbye in a hurry. You say, yeah, I'm ready, So, it's just reality that God will do what's necessary to help us. God's loving. And to God, suffering is not how we view it. Love and suffering to God are glorious tools, if you want to call it a tool. Power. It's a power. Suffering is. And so is love. And they're both so intermingled. And it was Dr. H recognized that the last time we talked on Saturday. Maybe it was Friday. Yeah, it was Friday. And he got it, So it's fun. It's a journey. It's an adventure. And this Advent understanding is helping with anything in our lives. Of the newness of the new year, of the spiritual life, of the constant progression. Well, I was going to read this sermon, but the dogs are just, Mercy is not stopping. Another dog went out and is running out there. And they could go, but they don't come back. And so, and there's a leash law here. I can't just let them run out there. The other dogs will come back to their owners. Mine are their own little person. So we go out on leashes. So God bless His real presence in us. And consider Advent, the coming of glory also. Our second coming, in essence, of our coming into heaven, our next life. Oh, it's a wonderful, marvelous transition. It's a graduation. It's a metamorphosis. Death be not proud, that poem by John Donne. And that's taken from 2 Chronicles, I think it's 2 Chronicles 15, 1 through 26 is the reference for that poem that he used. Death be not proud. Just the line itself, it's, we mustn't be proud about death. As far as wanting to stay, and that we shouldn't have to, or we still want to be here, or we're so useful that we need to stay here. Depends on our circumstances, of course, but God does not use those things as distinctions of what our usefulness is here or not. It's an honor to graduate into eternity, into glory. An honor. When our time is right, though, of course. God bless His real presence in us.